Welcome to Soul Sync.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We have just been all over the place with our schedule, but we want to be dedicated and give you guys special one-on-one time with us, one time a week. So we adjusted, we rearranged. We didn't even get our hour walk our hour walk and talking, and bitch, we're here.
We didn't get our hour walk and talk. This is our hour laugh and talk where we're literally just gonna smush everything together. We're gonna be talking about how growing our mind is like a lifelong journey and how we personally believe in like never stop learning. Always learn as much as you can. We have limited time here on earth. So it's like, what can we take? What can we incorporate? What can we inquire about? And what can we learn?
No, I love this. And I feel like at the end of the day, one of the number one things that we are learning is about ourselves, right? And how to be comfortable within ourselves and how to be comfortable with how we present ourselves to the world. And with that takes being able to take any sort of feedback and being open to learning, right? I think one of my favorite things about myself, I've been really doing this practice where I'm celebrating things about myself. I'm writing what areas do I fucking crush it in. And wanting to be a lifelong learner is like at the top of that list. I am always looking to improve. I'm always listening to podcasts, doing programs, going to mentors, asking questions. And I like to think of myself as a sponge, because I don't have this whole like, I am confident, but I don't have this whole authoritative part of me that's like, hey, I know it fucking all. Because none of us ever do. We are all always going to be learning throughout our entire life experience. And I will fight till the death about that. But I think it's so much easier when you just come at it from a place of, you know what? I'm open to learn. I'm open for feedback. And obviously take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But at the end of the day, learning is a key part of life. And if you're resistant to it, you're only just making it harder for yourself.
First of all, so true. I feel like I used to have this like little thing about learning where like I just want to be good at everything like right away and I want to be like the best at it right away and like as fast as I can. And if I didn't like pick up on it fast enough, I'd be like, "Oh, this isn't for me." Like, "Oh, no, I'm not good at that. No, I don't it doesn't come with ease." I feel like that was the little like perfectionist in me being like, I just, whatever, it takes so long to learn. They say that it takes like, what is it, 10,000 hours to like master something, to be like a master of whatever your trade is or whatever you're learning. And I feel like that kind of got to me too, of being like, how can I cut that in half? How can I cut that in a quarter, and just do it in half amount of time? Like I was always in a rush in that way. But now, like, when you grow up, you realize like time passes regardless. And within that time, you can stay stagnant, and comfortable and do what you do, or you could be ever growing. And growing your mind is like the best way to do that.
I do feel like one of the ways that you can learn is exactly what Taylor and I are talking about. It's through experience. Like, let's just go ahead and think about the podcast in general. Taylor and I manifested this shit 2 years ago when we were smoking a big blunt on the beach, and we were like, what? Stop making me laugh.
For being honest today,
I mean, I don't have to say that, but it's a big part of the story?
it is.
Like,
Yeah.
because our minds were so expanded and it was the full moon and the energy was just there and we were laughing and we were just really appreciative of our friendship. And next thing you know, we pull out the audios and we're recording a podcast and we're literally opening up that manifestation. And then what do you know, 2 years later, in February, we decided, fuck it. We want to do this podcast now. And there's a lot of learning to go with it. We're learning how to edit. Taylor had to learn how to do everything behind the scenes in that way. I had to learn how to make show notes because I did it one way and I didn't really like how that was going. So we found an easier way to do it. Jumping right in and really living through experience and learning from that, I feel like is the most beneficial way to learn anything.
It 100% is. And if you have your own business, I mean, like Sammy and I, you would definitely know that there's a lot of power to failing in certain things or doing something wrong or messing up the first time because it becomes like a little challenge to you and it always sticks with you in your head. At least I'm definitely like that. If I mess something up and it's, you know, big enough, I will be like, okay, how can I not do that ever again? The perfectionist. But I think there's a lot of power to the learn as you go theory too, of like sometimes you just have to jump like 2 feet into things, into projects, into podcasts, into these like dreams and things that you know you want to do. You just don't know. You haven't learned yet, you know, all the details about it. But it's like if you just jump in, you will swim eventually, you know? And it's kind of like a, you know, crawling until you can walk, walking until you can run kind of thing. And then years go by and you realize, like, if I waited until I was ready, how long would I actually be waiting for? Sometimes it really is just a trial and error type of thing. And I feel like a lot of life is like that, you know, like dating, like friendships. You're never going to be 100% ready. You know, you learn all these different things by doing it wrong or by having people come into your life and teaching you things the hard way. You know, life is messy sometimes. So it's just really important to know that, like, from every setback and every quote unquote failure that you face, it's not even that. It's just a lesson that you learn and it becomes a really valuable part of your life.
I think it's so amazing. And I think it's so important to touch on how your experiences can be lessons, and it's something that you learn. And that's kind of where I was going about like learning more about yourself, because especially when it comes to friendships, especially when it comes to relationships, like you guys know, we just did a podcast about how I took a break with my partner and then we actually decided to call it quits for good for right now. We were like, okay, we're just going to focus on us and we're going to appreciate the time that we had together. However, at least for me, it's time that I need to move on. And a couple of weeks ago, even, I wouldn't have been at that stage. I wasn't ready to fully let go of it. But now I've taken programs and I've talked to my coaches one on one and I've talked to my friends. I've learned a lot about myself, not only in the past couple of weeks, but also just the whole experience of all 8 months since we made this decision. I've learned so much about myself. And one of those things are my fucking standards. And I think I also learned it's okay to change my mind. Right? I might have wanted something so badly, but at the end of the day, if it wasn't matching my standards, I'm learning that I'm worth getting what I fucking want and I'm worthy of wanting more. But that's something I had to learn, because my friends can say it all day long, but if I wasn't ready to let go, I wasn't ready to let go. But this taught me how to, and how to really end a relationship in such a beautiful way. And that wasn't something I had experienced in the past. In the past, it was always a fucking shit show and you hated each other. Like this one, it was like, wow, we both are leaving with so much love. It's almost like we're best friends and we're not, but like it's amazing. Like I feel really good about that closure. And I learned that I can show up for myself in that way. I learned that I can really kind of be the like leader of that thing and make that decision for myself because I'm choosing myself. Whereas in the past, I never really was that kind of person. I always let other people make the decisions and I wasn't like as in touch with who I was and who I wanted to be. So I definitely think that our experiences can teach us so much about life, but it also just again teaches us so much about ourselves. And I remember there was this old man, it was probably like a reel or something that I had seen, and they had asked him like, what was your number one tip through life? And he was like, always be open to learning about yourself, because no matter what stage of life you are in, there is something to learn. And we are human. We're always changing. We're always evolving. We're changing our minds. We're wanting new goals. We're getting interested in different hobbies at different stages of our lives. So just everything about life is the game of learning, you know? So why does that not be more applied to ourselves?
That is so fucking true. Like, I feel like that's why we're here too. Like, just to learn about the human experience, like, just learn about being a human, all parts of it. And I swear when I say stuff like that, I feel like an alien from another planet. Like, we've come here to learn about you people. But like genuinely that's what it is. And like I don't want to personally be, get to an old age and just be comfortable and just be stagnant in my mind. I want to forever be curious. And I feel like that's something that I really love about myself now is that like I'm constantly curious about everything. And some ways that I kind of like entertain that and just kind of scratch that itch in a way is by listening to recently, I've been doing this, listening to like different types of podcasts and things that like I don't necessarily like to listen to or know much about at all. Like if you know me, I hate history. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, I don't care. I just don't care what happened. Like, I'm looking at the future, like, whatever. But this one podcaster I've been listening to, like, she incorporates so many, like, historical things that have happened. And she'll be, like, explaining them in, like, a funny way or, like, an educational, but, like, entertaining way. And it has taught me so much. Like, at the same time of like laughing. It's the Brittany Broski report. I think it's called the Broski Report podcast. Shout out Brittany Broski. Oh my God, if you want to fucking die laughing, but also like learn at the same time, it's crazy. And not even, yeah, you got to write that down. She's so, so funny. But even that, like what she'll do is if she doesn't know a word while she's reading something, like on the podcast, she'll literally stop everything and Google the word and like teach everyone what it means too. So I've learned like these long words, like $10 words, and like really interesting facts about like the world and just random shit. And I'm like, it's so funny. The moral of what I'm trying to say is like there are like fun ways of learning these days too. So it's not all necessarily like sit down, do research, you can incorporate like any sort of entertainment with it also, which might be a little controversial, but that's what I would use TikTok for all the time. And that's why I became such a scroller because I was actually learning about stuff like TikTok University. It's a real place. I got my degree there.
You're so funny. Oh my goodness. I love that idea of how you can learn from podcasts though, because I feel like that's where I get a lot of my education is from listening to my coach's podcast and or that's where I got the exposure to them in the first place, you know? You just get to see such a different side to people. Like I'm sure my Lotus babes, like they obviously know me as like Coach Sami in Lotus Lifts and like when it comes to fitness and nutrition, but when they listen to the podcast, they're like, "What? Like I didn't know all these crazy shit about you. Like I'm learning so much more, you know?" It just when you put yourself in that position, you get to know other people and other things. And again, yourself so much more in depth because you're just like exposing yourself to new ideas and new perspectives and just new everything.
Yeah, it's genuinely just like expanding your mind. There was this thing I saw and it was like it was a picture. Again, this was just from me scrolling. Like if you're following good things, you could follow historical things, you could follow like fun facts, you could follow whatever you want to genuinely learn about or touch on. And they'll just, the algorithm is hard at work these days. They will just pop things that are related to it on your feed. So one thing I've always been really interested in learning and just like forever on this learning journey for is psychology. Because I just think that people are so interesting in like how they grow up and how it like changes them and like it's there's so many parts of psychology that just absolutely amazes me and like human behavior and stuff like that. So I think I was an alien maybe in my last life. I really don't think I was a human now that I think about it. Like all signs are pointing north with this one. But humans are so fucking interesting. Where was I going with that? Shit. Oh, there was this psychology video that popped up on my feed, and it said how like when we learn something new, our like the neurons in our brain are literally making like brand new chemical connections. And it was like a real time like footage of like a little tiny neuron like making a connection with another one. And it's like interesting thing ever to me. So now whenever I learn something new, I'm like, oh yay, my neurons are all touching each other, and like we got brand new brain activity going on. Y'all, this is why we can't record midday around dinner time, because my attention span now versus the beginning of the day is wildly different. I don't know what goes on. Maybe it's a no coffee thing. I don't know.
It's something you're learning about yourself.
Yeah, seriously. Jesus.
Oh my gosh. I am laughing my way to abs today. Absolutely. But I totally love everything that you said. I love that you call a positive side to social media because I do think that it can get such just like negative vibes, negative just everything about like if you're an influencer or even if you're on social media for too long, like I feel like that's one of the number one questions if like you're going in and you're feeling depressed or anxious or anything like that. Now they're like, well, how long were you on social media? And it's not always just the social media. Like sometimes it's the content that you're feeding your brain, right? So there's a huge difference between feeding your brain with like all these things that just make you feel shitty versus feeding your brain with a ton of things like your neuron example and you're learning something and it gives you just like that type of boost, I kind of do the same thing where my feed is all like spirituality, affirmations. I went ahead, and this could be a great tip for you guys if you do want to use social media as an educational platform with that intention. You can actually favorite, like me, you can favorite your favorite people, right? So, like, for example, if it's like, wow, I really want to learn more about fitness, maybe you're going to go ahead and favorite me so that that's something that comes up because you know that I'm always going to be high vibe. I'm going to be really authentic. I'm going to be helping you, telling you the truth. Maybe you want to follow Michaela J. That's my coach and mentor. So I have her favorited. So whenever she posts a new reel, she's one of the first ones to pop up on my feed, right? So I think it's really what you're saying. It's more about incorporating a ton of just learning and knowledge availability within your social media so that you're giving yourself that option.
Yes. Oh my God. And it's the best hack ever because you're still
You're scrolling
on.
either way. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
have the fucking habit. You are scrolling either way. And I know we all do it. Mine is like not before bed, probably around like 7:38 is when I'll like scroll for a good like 20 minutes, honestly.
Yeah, girl, no, I'm right there with you. Let me tell you, it's just like the day and age that we live in. So it's kind of like getting ahead of it and just being like, well, if this is all like healthy things that I'm learning and like new information, how to expand myself, like how to eat healthier, like I follow a bunch of like cooking accounts and it'll just be all healthy food. And I'm like, I'm literally just sitting here learning before bed. Like I think that's a great thing to consider. Um, and if you're not that type of person, like reading a book before bed, and the book can be like a nonfiction, it could be about a topic that you know nothing about, but you're just genuinely curious. Like there are so many different outlets in the world now and so many different people that we have access to that we weren't able to before social media and before like YouTube and just like all these things where you can do what we're doing and basically teach people your life experiences and people can just log on and listen and learn whenever they want. Um, a couple platforms I told Sami about not that long ago was some online courses that you can take literally whenever you feel like it. Some of them are free and they're about all different things, like anything you could think of, there's a course on. So there's Coursera.com and then there's Udemy, I think it's called. And I'm sure they have plenty other ones, but it's where people, if they're experts in a field or they're really good at something, they will make a course for people and just share all of their expert tips, expert advice on the topic. And you just pay for it or you do it for free and you listen, pop some headphones in, go on a run, go on a walk, like you can habit stack with that too. But if ever you're curious about something, like learn about it because that is one of the definite benefits of living in this social media and online era is that the access we have is truly infinite. So take advantage of that shit.
Oh, I love this. I actually just went ahead and Googled both of these and I pulled up Udemy and I just looked at the free courses. Literally, how to speak to anyone and be fearless in less than 55 minutes, a mini course on time management. I mean, these are things that you can use for your everyday life and they're free. There's so many different ones. And I think this is a really good point as well. Think about how much time you watch TV, right? This could be another, like Taylor said, you can habit stack it, but you can also use this method of swapping, which is something that I really used during my fitness journey of still doing things that I love, but swapping it out so that it's just a little bit more healthier. It takes a little bit less time. So this would be perfect. Like, let's say, every single night you're binge watching Gossip Girl, or you're that's what I'm watching, LOL. Or you're like binge watching a movie, like every night you have your movie time. Like, what if, and you don't have to do it every single night, but what if 50% of the time, instead of watching TV, you put one of these on instead? You know, like how good would you feel? And I know the answer to that because I actually just started doing it. I got hooked on Gossip Girl and I watched the first season like within a couple like 2 weeks and I was like this is way too much. I was like watching it on my lunch break. I was watching it like just aimlessly in the background. And then I asked myself, I was like, I feel like this isn't giving me as much energy anymore. Like at first it was really inspirational. I loved seeing all of their like really cute outfits. I loved the idea that they were just like so rich that they could just like literally swipe their credit card all the time and be like, yeah, mom's got it. You know, like it was just such a vibe and it was really inspiring. But then I noticed that I started to feel like a little bit low energy and low vibe. And I was like, okay, it's probably because I'm watching too much of it. So I started shifting. And this week specifically, during my lunch break, instead, I've been working on my programs and my courses. And that's something we can go into next. But I've been watching those instead. And then at night, sometimes I'm watching TV, but sometimes I'm reading and I've been reading for fun. So I'm just about to order. It's called The 12-Week Year. And it's a book that one of my friends, Matt, told me about a couple of months ago. And Michaela is reading it right now. So we were just texting before, and I was like, girl, I need to get this book. I was like, I've heard about it from multiple people. I want to get it. And because I built the habit of reading before bed, I'm just going to go ahead and swap this book for what I've been currently reading, you know? So it's not like you have to totally stop doing all of these things that you like doing, but how can you incorporate this learning a little bit more? Because that's a really easy swap. Like either way, you're watching some sort of media, you're just being a little bit more intentional about what you're putting in.
Yes. Oh my God. And it's that little action of doing that that makes all the difference sometimes. For me, I swap out probably like half the week, if not more than half. Um, Wherever I'm driving to, instead of listening to music, I'll swap out like an audiobook or a podcast that teaches me something. So it's like listening is like big for me. But the self-help books, let me tell you, like don't sleep on those. Like they are amazing. And if you ever like come to our house, me and Tyler, our collection of books that we have, they're just all self-help books. Like Joe Dispenza, like anything that's kind of like with the brain psychology, but also like the one you said reminded me of the 3 Hour Work Week. That's one that we have. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Like there are so many different books that you can literally utilize like whenever and just really shape yourself into like a completely different person with, you know, different knowledge. One that was really amazing to me was called How to Win Friends and Influence People by someone. I'm not 100% Dale, was it Carnegie? Dale Carnegie, I think. Such an amazing book. And I am the type of person. Oh, was I right? It's Dale Carnegie. Okay, cool. Wow, look at me. Can't remember anything, remembers that. I'm the type of person that like loves listening to people, and that's how I learn best is just by like sitting back and like asking questions and like inquiring about people and listening about their lives. And this book kind of taught you exactly that and exactly like the benefits of that and how to like navigate other people in that way. and to learn off of them and their experiences and everything. And I have brought that with me like throughout everything in life, like just because of that one book and like teaching myself about that. So it's really like niche oriented too. If there's ever anything you're curious about, like audiobooks, podcasts, regular books, YouTube, courses, like there's an infinite. Go to a library, encyclopedia. There's an infinite amount of resources out there. So it's really like, do we have much of an excuse if we, you know, don't like public speaking or don't know how to do it or don't know how to change your oil or whatever? Like, you can learn.
I totally agree. And this shit is so cheap. Like literally, I'm looking at the audiobook for how to influence how to win friends and influence people. It's 99 cents.
Yeah, I think it's an older book, but literally like 99 cents. I
Okay,
can find that on the ground.
real. Or you could just use free stuff for now. Like, and also think about books too. You can go to the library. Like, I think our problem sometimes with this, and I'm just calling myself out because I know I'm 100% guilty of this, is I'll be like, oh, well, I don't want to spend the money on it, because I see it as something where I'm like, oh, well, I'm just gonna read it. And then like I get all the knowledge, but like if I'm caught between like, do I want to buy this or do I want to buy that? The book is always, nah, nah, I'll get that later. I'll get that later. And then I never actually get it. But it's like, go to the fucking library. Like literally you can just get a free membership. Or there's so many ways that you can get books like this as well. Like I know they have it here in Texas and South Carolina, they had it, and in Connecticut, they had it, where like in special neighborhoods or like around schools and stuff like that, they have the like give a book, take a book type thing. So I
Mhm.
have found so many personal development books in there, which is amazing because then you could just do a little tradesies, and again, you get it for free. So it's like you have no excuse here.
Literally, like you're just sharing experiences with people. I love those little book things. I get so like extra excited when I see them. And I'm like, oh my God, books! Oh
I
my
thought
God, we're learning. So, damn, you know?
we gave y'all a lot to think about today. The last thing that I want to talk about too is one way that you can learn is by surrounding yourself with people who are where you want to be, right? And that's why I'm a huge advocate of doing programs, like, especially with people who are experts in their field. Like, right now, I have a coach specifically for my mediumship, I have a coach specifically for my business, I have a coach specifically for Kundalini yoga and herbs that I just started with because I want to learn more about that. Like, soon, I'm going to be getting my yoga certification whenever that time kind of like aligns of when I feel like I can actually put the time into it away from my business. But go to masters about it because that is one of the fastest ways that you can learn is from other people's experiences or other people who have just gotten to that point that they know the topic so well that they can just literally speak at the drop of a hat and like just tell you so much good feedback, so much good advice, see where you're coming from, whatever it is you're struggling with, and really help guide you through. And that's been an amazing way that I personally have learned is through programs. Because even if I go into it thinking I'm learning one thing, like for example, I went into this Kundalini class just thinking I was doing Kundalini once a week. Like that's what I thought it was. I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm just signing up for like an online version of it. I'm going to do Kundalini once a week. Well, not only is it that, but we also meet like every other Sunday. So we're doing multiple days of Kundalini within it. And we're learning about all these different like holistic practices of herbs. We're learning about adaptogens. We're learning about mushrooms. And I'm not only learning about them and what their benefits are, how you can apply them in your life, but I'm using them. So now I get to learn about how does this impact my body? Like one of the ones I'm taking right now, because I'm still waiting for the others to come in, but it's ashwagandha. So I've been putting that powder in my collagen tea every day. And I haven't noticed anything so far, but I get to learn about how it impacts my body, like just trying this new thing that has helped so many different people. So I definitely feel like if you can get to the point of life where you can invest in yourself, you just gotta fucking do it. Like you just gotta do it. And also remember, like we say about the free content, there are so many of my favorite coaches who deliver like free master classes. They do free challenges. I do free 14-day challenges, you know? So like even if you aren't at that stage yet where you feel like you can invest money into it, there are so many options. You just have to want to do it.
Yes, that is like the sixth snap of the day, people. We have given you like just like a ton of ideas today. Maybe it hasn't been on your radar lately. Maybe learning hasn't been like a top priority lately or anything like that. But just remember to stay curious. And if there's ever something that you just know nothing about and you're like, huh, like maybe I want to try it. Maybe I want to just like dip my toes in and like free trial it type thing. Just definitely do it. You never know how interesting it could be. You know?
100%. It sounds like y'all know what to do. Okay, you heard the woman.
I love that. You heard the woman. Right. So this was a fun episode, a fun little quickie. Never stop learning, people.
So, with that, Taylor, where can they find you so that they can keep learning from both of us?
So you can learn from both of us on Soul Sync SB on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. You know we have that Ask Us account. And then you can learn from me, learn everything about massage and everything about yoga from our main account on melt underscore ebb and flow NJ on Instagram. And Sammy, where can they learn from you, girl?
Already know it's just my first and last name, SamiRuess, and don't forget the underscore.
Do not forget that underscore because you're not gonna find her.
All right, everybody. We love you guys so much. Thank you for laughing with us today. Thank you for having so much fun today. And let's just fucking keep learning. Let's be open to learning and see how far we can really take it.
Love you guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.